welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about Thanksgiving desserts. I do not think it's a good Thanksgiving unless there is at least one good dessert. Otherwise, it's a total flop. So today I'm going to share with you guys 5 of my favorite Thanksgiving desserts. Let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to get started on is pumpkin bars with a cinnamon cream cheese frosting. To a large bowl, I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour. This mix is 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of ginger, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and then 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. Go ahead and set that off to the side. I have 3 eggs that I went ahead and mixed up. Go ahead and put that into the bowl. 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, and then 1 cup of brown sugar. I also have 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and then 1 cup of vegetable or canola oil, or any type of oil will be fine. I have this can of pumpkin puree, and we're going to go ahead and put the whole can in there. I believe it's about 15 to 16 ounces. And just scrape everything and get all of the pumpkin in there. With our mixer, we're going to go ahead and beat up all of the wet ingredients. Once all of that is nice and mixed through, we're going to go ahead and grab our dry ingredients, and you can either add the wet ingredients to the dry or add the dry to the wet. Honestly, it really doesn't matter. Go ahead and just mix all that together, all of your wet and your dry together, until everything is nice and incorporated. All right, set that off to the side. I have a very large cookie sheet that I'm going to be using, and I'm just going to lightly grease that, and we're going to put our pumpkin that we just made. We're going to go ahead and put that batter right onto our sheet pan. We're going to make it nice and level. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the oven at 350 for 30 minutes. While it is done cooking and cooling, we're going to go ahead and make the cream cheese frosting. I have a 1/2 cup of unsalted butter that is to room temperature. I have 8 ounces of cream cheese, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then we're going to add 3 to 3.5 cups of powdered sugar, just a little bit at a time, because you do not want all that powdered sugar to just poof up and go in your face and all over the table. It's just not fun. So just do a little bit at a time until everything is nice and creamy. Once your pumpkin bread has completely cooled, we're going to go ahead and top it with that frosting that we just made. This frosting is so rich and so creamy. I'm telling you, this one is a huge hit. Everyone will be raving about this during Thanksgiving time. They're going to be wanting to go back for more. The bread is just very springy. It has just a wonderful bounce to it. It's very delicious. I think the cream cheese adds such a delicious flavor, and I love the cinnamon that's in the cream cheese. That's definitely something different that I probably would not normally do, but it worked. It is phenomenal. Up next is one of my favorite things to make, and that is my grandma's cherry cheesecake. This one is so easy to do. First, we're going to melt 1 stick of butter, so 1/2 cup of butter. I'm also going to add 1/8 cup of sugar. We're going to add about 1 cup to 1.5 cups of graham cracker crumbs. I just add until it's to where I like it. I don't like it super crumbly. I like it a little bit more on the buttery side, but you guys can make your own crust, or you can do the pre-made crust. I just don't like the pre-made crust, so I literally never buy that. I just take the time to make my own crust, but of course it is super simple and easy to do. So if you want to buy it, that is completely up to you. Right now I'm just trying to level out my crust, make sure it's nice and even. I don't really care so much that it's on the sides, just that it has a nice level, even layer on the bottom. I'm going to set my crust off to the side. In a large bowl, I have 2 blocks of cream cheese. I'm also going to add 8 ounces of Cool Whip. I love this like thick and creamy one that I get from Dillon's. I'm also going to add 2/3 cup of granulated sugar. With my beaters, I'm going to go ahead and just give that a good stir until it's thick and creamy, and yes, this is going to be very thick. That's how it's supposed to be. Don't worry, it's not supposed to be creamy. A lot of those cheesecakes have a very creamy and almost runny texture, but this one is very thick. We're going to go ahead and put that right into our graham cracker crust and just make sure it's nice and even. It will take just a couple minutes just because it is so thick. All right, so just make sure it's nice and level. And of course, you guys can put any type of topping on. I've tried many different ones. I'm actually more into making my own type of topping using just like some mixed berries, blueberries, strawberries, whatever it is that my family wants at the time. But it is so simple just to grab a can of cherries or a can of blueberries, anything like that. Even strawberry rhubarb is really good. Any topping is going to be phenomenal. This is what it looks like when it's done. This is phenomenal. My family always requests that I make it for Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's really delicious. Up next is this caramel and Heath poke cake. Cannot go wrong with this for the holidays. First thing we're going to do is get our 9x13 pan. Go ahead and lightly grease that. And you're just going to bake the cake how it says on the back of the box. Once it has cooled, I'm going to go ahead and just use this kebab stick and we're going to poke holes all throughout the cake. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and set that off to the side. I am actually going to use this caramel syrup. You can use any type of caramel sauce will work. We're going to need about 10 ounces. I'm also going to need this sweetened condensed milk, and then just add that to our caramel sauce and then just give that a good stir. It's very, very thick, so make sure you stir it really well. Next, we're going to go ahead and just put that all over our holes, making sure all of our holes get filled. You're going to have to take a spatula of some sort and just really go through it and make sure those holes get filled. All right, once all the holes are filled and you no longer see a lot of caramel sauce on top, we're going to take 8 ounces of Cool Whip and put that right on top of our cake. This cake is going to end up being very, very sweet. So I just like to use Cool Whip just because it's not super sweet and this cake is very rich, so I don't want to add much more sweetness to it. All right, and then just for a topping, you definitely don't have to, but for a topping, I did a little bit of Heath bits. Like I said, this cake is very rich, so if you want to omit that part, that is fine too, but it is really good with just a little bit of a crunch on top. All right, and that is it. I like to refrigerate mine for several hours before digging into it, and then I just drizzle a little bit of some caramel sauce right on top. Very, very delicious. Absolutely amazing. Everybody was raving about this one. They thought it was so, so good. It is rich, so if you and your family do not like rich desserts, probably not a dessert for you, but if you have a sweet tooth like me, this one is going to be a huge hit. Next is going to be my family's favorite that I made in this video, and that is this no-bake pumpkin pie. Actually, it's super easy to throw together. First thing I need is 4 ounces of cream cheese, 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, and then 8 ounces of this Cool Whip. I'm actually just going to put in half for now, and we'll use half in a little bit. Go ahead and give all of that a good stir, getting all of that well combined. It may take just a couple minutes to get all of that together. All right, we're going to go ahead and put that into a pre-made pie crust. Of course, I do not like to use pre-made ones, so I just made one real fast. And we're just gonna dump that in there and just give it a very thin layer of this cheesecake. All right, we're gonna go ahead and set that off to the side. In a medium mixing bowl, we're going to add a little bit of this cheesecake jello mix. You can also add vanilla if you would prefer that. I just thought since this was a cheesecake, I'd just go ahead and add cheesecake. We're gonna only add about half of that box. I'm also gonna add 1/2 cup of milk and then just go ahead and give that a good stir. Stir it until it is nice and thick. All right, next we're gonna add 1 cup of canned pumpkin puree. Do make sure that it's the pumpkin and not like the pumpkin pie puree. I'm also gonna add 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice, half a teaspoon of nutmeg, and then half a tablespoon of cinnamon. And then just go ahead and incorporate those seasonings into your mixture. All right, once it's well incorporated, we're gonna go ahead and bring back our cheesecake. And then we're just gonna put that pumpkin pie mix, and we're just gonna put that right on top. So just a nice thin layer of this pumpkin pie right on top of our cheesecake. All right, now this should be nice and level, and we're just gonna add the remaining Cool Whip that we have. So it should be about 4 ounces, and just put that right on top. And my Cool Whip was a little bit on the frozen side, so I had a little bit hard time getting all of that nice and level. It kind of started mixing in with that pumpkin, so you can kind of see it in just a little bit. But if you have yours defrosted, you should not have the issue that I just did. All right, and then I just put like a little bit of cinnamon, and by a little, I guess I mean a lot of cinnamon on top. I wanted a very, very thin layer just to add like a little bit of a garnish, but it just toppled right on top of there and kind of ruined the appearance, but it was still really good. It just wasn't as pretty, but here it is. The layers look amazing. This had amazing flavor. My husband loved it so much. He doesn't even want me to make pumpkin pie this year for Thanksgiving. He just wants me to make this dessert right here. It is that good. All right, and for the last one, we are going to be making a berry cobbler. My family loves a good cobbler for Thanksgiving and Christmas time. I usually like to make a berry one. I just think it's very fitting. Either that or like a caramel apple one. That's usually my go-to as well. We're gonna take 2 pounds of berries, and I'm just gonna try to get everything nice and level. It's a little bit on the frosted side, so I'm just trying to get all the ice broke up. I have half of a lemon that I'm gonna go ahead and pour all over our berries. All right, next I have 2/3 a cup of sugar that I'm gonna put right on top. And then half a cup of flour. I'm also going to put half a tablespoon of cornstarch, and then just give that a good stir. This does come out a little bit on the thick side, so if you want to tone down the flour or just omit the cornstarch in its entirety, that would be ideal. Mine just has a lot of liquid, so that's why you see me adding so much. All right, and so now I'm just trying to make sure everything's nice and even. And then we're gonna put, you can either do a vanilla cake or a yellow cake. Honestly, I don't think it really matters a whole lot. Just make sure it's nice and even. All right, and then I'm also gonna take 1.5 sticks of butter, and we're going to put that right all over our cake. I try to make them as even as possible. That way I make sure that every inch of my cake has a little bit of melted butter on it, and it doesn't have like dry cake mix anywhere on it. We're gonna cook that in the oven, 350 for about 45 minutes. This is what it'll turn out to look like when it is all done cooking. This one's a really big hit. It's a traditional favorite in our family. I love making a good cobbler. There's so many different ways that you can make a cobbler, but cake mix cobbler is ultimately my favorite way of making it, just because it's so easy and simple to throw together. And of course, you cannot have a cobbler without having the vanilla ice cream on top. So I love to top this with a little bit of vanilla ice cream. You cannot go wrong with that whatsoever. This one is delicious, and it's definitely something that you should consider making this Thanksgiving or Christmas. Thanks so much for watching this video. Hope that you guys enjoy it. I hope that you guys are all ready for all things Thanksgiving time. It is just about here. It is just around the corner, so be prepared, y'all. Give me a big thumbs up if you enjoy this content. Go ahead and subscribe below if you have not already. I'd love to have you here on this channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.